Former AEW wrestler Jake Hager doesn't hold back in a new explosive interview in which he claims AEW president and CEO Tony Khan stormed in to an all-talent-only meeting after the CM Punk situation. Hager also claims that FTR refused to come to TV after being upset with certain storylines. Now, FTR have since responded to this, saying that what Hager's saying is not true. We'll let you know all of the details on that. Plus, Orange Cassidy could be on his way back to AEW in-ring action, as reports state that he is medically cleared to compete inside the squared circle. Will Ospreay issues a statement after the show closing angle at Forbidden Door, seemingly writing him off AEW television in the process. Mark Henry believes Psycho Stu is partially responsible for the Raja Jackson incident that's gone viral over social media. Kelly Osbourne has reacted to what she calls a disrespectful raw mention by Becky Lynch of her late father Ozzy Osbourne. Vince McMahon is in court today. We'll let you know why. Ricochet has filed to trademark the term bold. Shawn Michaels thinks that WWE NXT is the best 2-hour wrestling program on television right now, and Queen Aranata is stuck in the United Kingdom following the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Before we begin, you can see right there we are less than 100 subscribers away from 24,000 on our road to 25k in 2025. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Join the ever-expanding WNU. Let's begin with bombshell revelations from Jake Hager in a brand new interview in which he doesn't hold back about AEW president and CEO Tony Khan and how disgruntled Hager was with how Khan was running the company prior to his departure. Now, Jake Hager claims Tony Khan stormed into an all-talent-only meeting after a CM Punk situation. Now, earlier this month, Jake Hager announced that he was retired from pro wrestling and had been running his own trucking company. This came after his AEW contract was not renewed in June of last year. While speaking to Insight with Chris Van Vliet, Hager was asked when he began to fall out of love with wrestling, which led to the former Jericho Appreciation Society member beginning to criticize AEW president and CEO Tony Khan for how he handled situation. Here's what Hager had to say in the interview with Chris Van Vliet.
So when did you stop loving what you were doing there, or just loving wrestling in general?
It was right after we did the Vegas, was that the Stadium Stampede? No, it was like the second Blood and Guts. The second Blood and Guts we did in Vegas, and it was against Daniel Bryan and Cesaro and those guys, and then Sammy jumped off the cage. My first contract with AEW was up. And after that, we were like the negotiation process was very one way. And I could tell that, well, anyways, I always find a way to say this every day. So I think everyone should too say, fuck Tony Khan. I could tell that he didn't want me there. He offered me like a year and a half. I was like, bro, I just did Stadium Stampede twice. Like, don't act like Stadium Stampede didn't put AEW on the map. I was in the debut episode. I was the big spoiler, and you offer me 18 months after all that. So it was that and the way that he started running the business that it really, like, he wasn't a professional. Like, after all the Punk shit that went down, the boys got together and we had a meeting, and this was the boys only, no office. All right. And we're all like Sting's in there, Show, Jericho, Bryan, Mox, they're all standing at the front, kind of like talking us through this shit. And lo and behold, who comes into the room storming in? Daddy's little billionaire. And he's like yelling at us because I think it was Dax and Cash and Wheeler didn't want to come in. They didn't like the storyline, so they refused to come to TV that day. And he was like, listen, I'll put you in a 6-man 6 minutes before the show, and you're going to do it. And we're all just like, all feeling disrespected. And I still to this day wish I would have stood up and said, you know, a lot of things. But like, you just told Sting that you're going to put him in a 6-man in 6 minutes, but then you're going to honor him for his retirement. We were all we became his little playthings. We had to wait outside his office. His storylines were very good at debuting, but he could never carry anything through. And it got to the point where I'm carrying on, but it got to the point where I couldn't tell him anything. He couldn't take criticism. He was fucking up, and we were all just having to deal with it. Like, we all had blood, sweat, and tears put into that company. We were all there at the beginning. Like, we all had our careers behind us that helped build that company. And then we all had to just sit side by side and couldn't do anything because he wanted to run it the way he wanted to run it.
Now, when it comes to a response here, Dax Howard has responded to Jake Hager's claim, saying that he and Cash Wheeler were indeed at the talent meeting. After saying that Tony Khan did not interrupt the meeting, Howard made it clear that he and Wheeler have never refused to show up to work before. As you can see on the screen, he said, quote, "Cash and I were at the all-talent-only meeting that was called by Bryan, Jericho, and Mox. Tony never interrupted. Cash and I have never refused to show up to work, and I dare say, if you look at our schedule since Collision started, we're the most consistent talent that make both shows every week. I'm not really sure where all of this is coming from, but it's mostly not true." Now, in terms of another response, this actually comes from Jake Hager himself, courtesy of Cash Wheeler. He posted a screenshot of his text thread with Jake Hager, who seemingly has apologized. So this is a message coming from Jake Hager. He said, quote, "I apologize if you're upset. I said I think it was you two. Didn't say it definitely was, but that meeting happened." Cash responded by saying, "I know, but to say I think and then actually say our names makes us look like assholes, and it wasn't even us. We're assholes, but we show up for work." Hager then replied, quote, "I apologize. I shouldn't have said your names, especially when I didn't know for sure." So what are your thoughts on what Jake Hager has said there? What are your thoughts on his claims regarding Tony Khan, regarding FTR and more? Let me know your thoughts about it, as always, in the comment section below. Now, before we get on to the next news story about Orange Cassidy seemingly being about to make his in-ring return, a reminder, this video is brought to you in collaboration with our affiliates. You'll be able to see them throughout the video on the sidebar. You can get yourself some great products. You can also save yourself some money and also find another way to support the channel. All of the links for all of our great affiliates are in the video description below. You'll also find them in the pinned comment in the comment section. Includes the likes of NordVPN. You can save up to 73%. Shed Meal Replacement Shake. You can also check those out as well. You can also check out Vero Shave, the ultimate grooming guide for bold men too. Now let's move on and talk about Orange Cassidy. Talk about him returning to the ring. AEW could be set to get one of their bigger babyfaces back sooner rather than later. Orange Cassidy has been sidelined for a number of months after sustaining what was suspected to be a torn labrum. However, it was later reported that it could actually be a torn pec. Now, he was injured in March and has missed the last 5 months of action, which affected creative throughout the spring. Bodyslam.net reported this morning that Orange Cassidy is indeed cleared, which lined up with much of what Fightful Select has heard when asking about injury updates. Fightful Select has learned that Orange Cassidy is on the mend, and Fightful were told he'll be back sooner than later when they ask for an update. He's not expected to be out throughout the end of the year like many other injuries unless there is a big setback. Orange Cassidy has been backstage at numerous events recently and underwent shoulder surgery shortly after the injury. Of course, this comes at a crucial time for AEW as they have lost Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay this week due to injury. Speaking of which, we have a statement from Will Ospreay following the angle at Forbidden Door. On social media Monday, Will Ospreay released a short statement thanking fans. Of course, this follows an angle at the end of the Forbidden Door pay-per-view this past weekend, where the Death Riders attacked Ospreay with Jon Moxley wrapping a steel chair around Ospreay's neck and stomping on it before Ospreay's teammates could re-enter the ring. Quote, "I genuinely have no words. Thank you so much for every little bit of support. Love you guys so much, AEW," he wrote. Of course, the show closing angle saw Ospreay's team get the victory over the Death Riders and the Young Bucks, but the show didn't end on a happy note as Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli attacked Ospreay as he was trapped in the ring after his teammates had left. Moxley repeatedly gave Ospreay Death Rider DDTs to Ospreay before finishing with the steel chair. Samoa Joe and the rest of the Ops came out and finally managed to get the steel cage lifted. The final moments of the show saw AEW Medical tend to Ospreay as the show went off the air. Of course, the angle took place in order to write off Ospreay, who will be undergoing neck surgery soon. Ospreay has opened up a bit more about his neck injury. Now, ahead of Forbidden Door, Metro rolled out an interview of Ospreay. He shared that when the news of his injury was made public, many people from WWE reached out. Ospreay said, "Everyone has been lovely." Quote, "I've got people in WWE that I've never met before in my entire life that have reached out because of this neck injury, and they have one. And hey, if you need a doctor or if there's any questions that need to be answered, every single one of them are super lovely, and I wish them all the best. I really do." Now, on the AEW front, Ospreay stated that Adam Copeland has been someone he's been able to talk to about neck surgery. He said Copeland has helped him set aside a lot of his worries. Quote, "Cope has been amazing with my neck and my anxiety. He has been a real good guy to go to in his room and talk about this thing, and has put a lot of worries behind me." Of course, if we get any more details on the severity of the neck injury, how long Ospreay is expected to be out for, we'll let you know in a future video. Now, of course, social media is still talking about the incident regarding Raja Jackson and Psycho Stu over the weekend, but WWE Hall of Famer Mark Henry says that Psycho Stu is partially to blame for the incident involving the son of Rampage Jackson. Over the weekend, footage of an attack at a Knox Pro show from Raja Jackson, the son of Rampage Jackson, went viral. In the footage, Raja would storm the ring, slam independent wrestler Psycho Stu to the mat before punching him over 20 times before he was pulled off of Stu by independent wrestler Doug. While the action of Raja have been condemned by many, for WWE Hall of Famer Mark Henry, he believes Stu shoulders part of the blame. While speaking to TMZ in a new interview, Henry noted that Stu should have been more careful with who he was dealing with, an inexperienced person in the world of pro wrestling. Quote, "You've got to be careful, one, who you're messing with, and two, what kind of example you are as a veteran for inciting a riot with a kid." Henry would continue while noting that Stu bit off more than he could chew with regards to the incident. Henry would go on to also chastise Raja, noting that he had to have more respect for the business and control his anger. However, Mark noted his belief that due to Stu messing with Raja beforehand and throwing a drink at his head, the fault was left with Stu. Quote, "If indeed what I saw was what I saw, which is people before the show during the daytime drinking and intoxicated or partially intoxicated, and you bust a bottle over the guy's head and talk trash like that, that guy was not going to do nothing, yeah, you're at fault." Of course, if we get any more details surrounding this, we'll let you know in a future video. The LAPD continues to investigate. Now, there was a comment last night on Raw that drew the attention of many regarding the late Ozzy Osbourne, and Kelly Osbourne wasn't a fan of her late father's name being used by Becky Lynch to get heat on Raw this week. Monday's Raw episode took place from Birmingham, England, the hometown of the recently departed metal icon Ozzy Osbourne. During her promo on the show, Lynch mentioned Ozzy's name as she was insulting the city. Quote, "The only good thing that came out of here died a month ago," Lynch said, "but in fairness to Ozzy Osbourne, he had the good sense to move to LA, a proper city, because if I lived in Birmingham, I'd die too." While the insult was more aimed towards the city of Birmingham than Ozzy Osbourne himself, his daughter Kelly took exception to Lynch's words and is unhappy with WWE for allowing them to be said. Kelly reacted to the promo in a post to her Instagram story saying, quote, "You are a disrespectful dirtbag," she wrote to Lynch. "Birmingham would not piss on you if you were on fire. Hashtag Birmingham forever. Shame on the WWE for allowing such things to be said about my father and his home." Of course, Ozzy Osbourne, who was a celebrity member of the WWE Hall of Fame, passed away at 76 years old on July 22nd, shortly after Birmingham hosted his final performance. The Black Sabbath frontman's history with WWE dates back to appearing at WrestleMania 2 in the 1980s. Now, Vince McMahon, he's appearing in court today stemming from his car accident last month. On Thursday, July 24th, Vince McMahon was reportedly in a car accident. 3 vehicles were reportedly involved in the accident, including McMahon's Bentley Continental GT. According to PW Insider, McMahon is slated to appear in court today on August 26th. He was issued a misdemeanor summons for reckless driving and following too closely, resulting in an accident. Court records list the appearance as an arraignment. Barbara Dolan, 72, founder and CEO of BD8 Capital Partners, gave her account of the incident in a public post on Facebook, saying, quote, "Lucky to have survived a horrific car crash on the way up to catch the ferry to Martha's Vineyard last Thursday morning. Both cars totaled. Vince McMahon, former chair of WWE, hit me going 80 to 90 miles per hour as I drove in the right lane of the narrow Merritt Highway built in the 1930s. I and the dog are mostly fine, but I was lucky to have kept control of the car more or less as I shot off the road after being catapulted over 100 yards. An unmarked state trooper had been following him as he sped in and out of cars down the highway and had just turned his lights on to pull McMahon over, but he was not in time. Both front wheels of McMahon's Bentley were sheared off and his airbags deployed, probably saving him from significant injury. The trooper told me afterwards that McMahon saw me last minute and swerved, smashing into my left rear, but that if he had hit me full on, there might have been a very different ending for me. Amazing that no other cars were hit and that I got out of the car, handshaking for a good 20 minutes, but otherwise seemingly unscathed, stiff neck later, etc., and full battery of hospital scans and blood work. Time will tell, I'm told. Of course, if we get any more details on this court appearance, we'll let you know in a future video. Ricochet is not only bold, but he's trying to own the trademark for it. Ricochet has filed to trademark bold. The trademark is filed for merchandise and entertainment services. Of course, this is part of the gimmick that he's been using in social media. Ricochet is indeed bold. Shawn Michaels, he says that NXT is the best 2-hour wrestling program on television. Shawn Michaels, the man who oversees NXT in his WWE executive role, feels like his brand is offering the best 2-hour wrestling show on television right now. In an interview with Undisputed, Michaels credited NXT's wrestlers for making the show a success, with partnerships also contributing to some fresh faces being featured on the brand. Quote, "I'd be lying if I didn't think we have the best 2-hour show on television," Michaels said, "and the most exciting. The partnership with the CW is huge. They've been fantastic. We've had collaborations like Noah, TNA, and AAA, but all of our success comes down to the athletes that walk through the doors of the Performance Center every day in Orlando. It's a testament to all the work that our coaches and our creative team and the entire production team in NXT. Other contenders, of course, for the best 2-hour show would include WWE SmackDown, AEW Dynamite, and Collision, as well as TNA Impact. NXT presented its Heatwave PLE over the weekend, which was headlined by Obafemi defeating Javon Evans to retain the NXT Championship. And finally, Queen Aminata is stuck in the United Kingdom. The AEW star posted a video on her Instagram stories page on Monday revealing that she's still in the UK following the AEW Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Her backpack was stolen one day prior to the pay-per-view, and as a result, she isn't able to leave the country until later this week. Quote, "I was supposed to be flying home today, but unfortunately on Saturday my backpack got stolen with everything," she explained. "My debit card, my credit card, my driver's license, my US passport, my glasses, my medication, my charger, everything is gone. So I'm stuck here until Thursday at least, possibly a little bit longer. And yeah, I guess the UK loves the Queen so much. You guys didn't want me to go home early. I'm laughing about it right now, but honestly, I just wanted to be home. It's all right though, everything happens for a reason. Thank you guys for showing the love and support." Now, despite the incident, Aminata participated at Sunday's Forbidden Door show, teaming with Harley Cameron, Chris Statlander, and Willow Nightingale in a losing effort to the Triangle of Madness and Megan Bayne on the pre-show. Later on the pay-per-view, Aminata was being attacked by the Triangle of Madness when Jamie Hayter made her return, making the save for Aminata. But there you go, guys. The latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.